Right guys, welcome back. I'm coffeeed up. Let's find somewhere to chat about today's topic. Look at this absolutely lovely place here. I'm out on the Segway. I'm in Hertford on the river here. It's just so beautiful. Look at it, absolutely lovely. So, are you too scared to ride your e-scooter? A lot of people message me and say, I am, I just don't want to do it. I don't want to chance it. So this is what I've got to say about it. Basically, as you know, I'm a big supporter of personal transport devices, like electric bikes, e-scooters, e-skateboards, you know, Segway, the list goes on. And I'm actually increasingly getting pissed, to be honest, that all of these amazing methods of transport for last mile, you know, like nipping down to the shops and stuff like that, have been completely tarnished by the media and the police as well. And this is now sort of rubbed off onto the general public. So, you know, I've heard of people shouting abuse at one of my friends who was riding an e-scooter the other day. Paul, shout out to you, mate. He said, yeah, he was riding the scooter and someone shouted at him, you shouldn't be riding it. And I think the abuse was a lot worse than that. But anyway, you know, added to this, I've seen countless posts on social media of the police celebrating the confiscation of an e-scooter from someone who's obviously just trying to go to work or just going down the road in an efficient, eco-friendly manner. It's absolutely absurd. You know, e-scooters and low-power personal transport are no different, really, to a mobility scooter, you know, helping someone get from A to B. Now, I know there's some idiots out there that ride these fast in areas where there's lots of people, and that's, you know, it's just stupid. I don't condone that at all. Most of the people I've seen on these devices are really careful and considerate to others and, you know, just keep to the speed limits and don't really do anything. They statistically complete many journeys without any issues. If anything, they actually avoid, you know, places where pedestrians are and sort of, you know, get out of the way because they're too scared of getting abuse or maybe getting their stuff, their scooter nicked or confiscated. Now, the fact that these devices are incorrectly labelled as a motor vehicle really is something that's got to change. I think it's got to change as a matter of urgency. And I can't stress that enough. They're not motor vehicles. They're no different to a bicycle, really. And for years, they were treated as such. You know, these things aren't new. They've been around a long time, you know, and for kind of years and years, people were riding these things, you know, in and out of towns, and nobody batted an eyelid. But everyone decided to jump on the e-scooters a bad bandwagon, just like they've done with the drones and everything else, because a few people, you know, ride them dangerously and fly them dangerously, if you're talking about drones. And some people, you know, have unfortunately, sadly died. And this is, you know, not a nice thing at all. But the solution is not to enforce the law to the point where anyone riding one of these things is a criminal. If someone's doing something that is hurting or upsetting others or their property, then yes, absolutely take action. But penalising people for travelling about safely on a personal transport device because they are trying to save money, maybe for food, and lowering their emissions and reducing congestions on the road by not using a car, you know, you can't do that. That's just absolutely not on. You know, criminalising these people and taking their, you know, confiscating their scooters, stuff like that. So the fact that a well-known company, Halfords, until recently was sending large amounts of e-scooters to the public with a disclaimer saying you can't actually ride these anywhere, and they did actually put that on later. I'm pretty sure they put that disclaimer on later after they'd sold, you know, hundreds of these things anyway, saying they can only be used off-road. And this is just another sign of how stupid this situation is. And Halfords is still one of the UK's main seller of bicycles. Now, the government encourages us to use public transport. That's a joke. Why would I want to wait for a bus to go 1 mile down the road, costing me more money, making me sit next to someone with the latest virus doing the rounds? And, you know, that's if the bus actually turns up. You know, we all know how reliable our public transport is. So now we have a situation where there's thousands of e-scooters, thousands of them, in people's houses because they're too afraid to ride them. These are perfectly good modes of transport that can move people around short distances on pavements, not produce any toxic emissions, and they free up our roads for emergency service vehicles and long distance travellers. You know, it's mad, absolutely mad. And then we've got ULEZ. I understand they want to remove some really bad vehicles to lower pollution, so give people some other options. A bicycle's not always convenient for people. E-bikes can be heavy. If they live in blocks of flats or work in a skyscraper or they need to whip to the shop quickly, you know, they're not going to want to leave their bike outside, like a high-value e-bike or even a high-value bike. You're not going to want to do it, are you? So, you know, and we've all seen, like, the blatant kind of brazen ways that they nick some of these bikes now with an angle grinder just in broad daylight in front of a shopping precinct full of people. I should say, I'm not just talking about e-scooters here. We've basically in one foul swoop killed the complete development of personal transportation and last mile vehicles, which was such a valuable thing, I think, to solving this kind of, you know, all these issues that we've got, congestion, emissions, all this sort of stuff. No company's going to want to develop these devices going forward now because everyone's too scared to ride them. Well done. You know, there was such promise for devices like this, the humble Segway. This is an amazing little platform that could be used for a multitude of things. You could actually, you know, have a frame around this and turn this into a mobility scooter for someone elderly. You could actually, you know, put a skateboard onto this if you wanted. You could turn this into a luggage system because it's all self-contained. The battery's on the bottom, you've got 2 motors either side, and it can do whatever you want it to do. This is not like a hoverboard or that kind of cheap end thing that you see all the kids riding. This is a professionally designed bit of kit. So to sum up, government, do us all a favour, stop putting these devices in the same class as full-size motor vehicles. Oh, and don't get me started about e-bikes with number plates. That'll be next. Catch you next time, guys. There you go. It's no different to a mobility scooter. No different at all.